You know, we've been hearing for quite a while now from a few different sources, some optimistic sources in the gun community, I will say, that the NRA was turning it around. They were becoming a new modern organization. They weren't going to be the same sellouts they were before. They were going to start actually fighting for people. They were going to become the dominant force for the Second Amendment once again. Now, I was very skeptical of this. I'll admit that sometimes I'm a bit of a cynic. But unfortunately, it seems like in this case, cynicism was just, because once again, the NRA has shown that they are no different than they've ever been before. It doesn't matter what figurehead they put in the president's position. As long as Wayne LaPierre is running things, they're going to be a bunch of sellouts that only care about membership and money. And this time, they've really stepped in it. They have said that they support the idea that something needs to be done about bump stocks, about bump fire stocks. And it's even worse than them saying they should just be illegal, and I'll explain that in a couple of minutes. But first and foremost, this is just a total betrayal by the NRA of every fundamental reality of firearms. Because let's face it, bump fire stocks have been around for quite a while. They've sold tons of them. They aren't used in crimes very often. They're used in crimes far less than pointy sticks or hammers. So this one use of one, or two of them possibly, in this very specific circumstance doesn't justify a need for a ban. That's pure emotion. There's nothing logical about that. And the NRA is basically saying, well, we're going to give in to an argument of emotion. And I know a lot of people say, well, it doesn't really matter because it's just bump stocks and no one cares about bump stocks. I know I don't care about them. I think they're garbage. I'm not interested in one. I'm not going to go out and buy one now that everyone thinks they're going to be made illegal, because the only reason I can see to buy one is so I could resell it and make a profit, and I don't want to do that, so I've got no reason to get one. So a lot of people say, well, why does it matter? Well, it matters because the NRA just made precedent that it is okay to target a legally available item to gun owners, even though there's no reality-based justification to target it, just on emotion alone. Just because people are afraid of it, that it's okay to say this item needs to go away, even though it doesn't present any real danger. Because let's face it, if anybody wanted to make a semi-automatic rifle automatic, that can be done mechanically without a bump fire stock. And the only thing that stops people from doing it is because they're law-abiding citizens, and doing so would be breaking the law. If they were going to break the law and try to kill a lot of people, do you think that would stop them from, the law would still stop them from modifying their guns? It wouldn't. The reason they don't is because there's no real advantage to it. It's not advantageous to have a fully automatic rifle, because usually you're working with limited ammo and all that does is waste some of it. So the whole notion that these should be allowed to be banned, that the NRA is now supporting, that in its own right is heinous, because it sets a horrible precedent of you can just ban things based on emotion, even if no reason exists. So that's horrible in itself right there. But there's an even more nefarious part of this. The NRA isn't even calling for a new law to ban them. Basically what the NRA is saying that, hey, the ATF should be able to look at these again and take care of it on their own. They should be able to loosely interpret the laws that exist now and ban bump fire stocks. Well, that's even worse than passing a law, because now you're saying that the ATF should be able, even though they determined there's no law against bump fire stocks, which they already did in 2010, and no new law has existed since then that would make them illegal, even though they determined that legally there's nothing against bump fire stocks, the NRA now says that they should be able to broadly interpret that to ban bump fire stocks, or at least regulate them. So that's even worse than saying we need a law. That's giving a government agency the right to enforce laws that don't exist. That gives them the power to decide what they think should and shouldn't be legal based on nothing more than their own whims or public opinion. So this right now, where's the change in the NRA? Where is it? I mean, I hate to be right in this circumstance, because I hope that they were going to become a good force for us again, but I'm not seeing it. As long as Wayne LaPierre is there, I think we're going to keep seeing this stuff. So I'm calling for it right now, and I've called for it before. We need to get rid of Wayne LaPierre and all the sellouts that are padding their pockets in the NRA. We need to get rid of them, or we need to stop using this stupid argument, well, they're our biggest voice, and continuing to give them our money. We need to decide that they're not worth being our biggest voice, that they do not deserve to be our biggest voice, and put our money and our allegiance elsewhere.